Very good morning, everyone. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us together as we explore, this topic, unlocking the future of SEO, integrating AI for maximum impact in 2025. So in this short masterclass session, I'll be covering how AI is reshaping SEO and content strategy for businesses today. Along the way, we'll look at how SEO has evolved, right, from the traditional keyword-driven SEO towards a more semantic-driven and topical, authority-driven SEO, which is largely driven by the addition of new AI-driven search algorithms to Google's ranking algorithms. And then we'll move on to practical application, exploring how some companies are using AI to automate some, or I wouldn't say all, some or several pieces of the SEO marketing chain, right? So we'll explore how AI and humans can work together in different forms, right? And some of the leading tools currently out there. And then just a recap and some recommended next steps. So this is meant to be not just a one-way session. I would very much welcome questions. I'm also a fellow traveler on this journey into AI, right? AI has exploded on the scene roughly in the last 3 years. And in the last year, especially, the advancements have been very aggressive, which have been impacting nearly every industry. So yeah, I'm also traveling along this route with you and happy to explore, right, concepts. So if you have any questions at all, I will open up for questions at various points during the session, but you're also welcome to type your question in chat. If you have a point of view or you have a resource to share with the rest, you're also most welcome to do so, right? So it's not meant to be a monologue, and I hope to learn from you as well as we go through this session. So just very briefly, introduction to myself. My name is Ian Wong, and I'm currently a growth strategist and AI marketer with an agency called eBizGrow. I'm based in Singapore, so you'll find that some of my examples later will draw upon Singapore companies. So apologies in advance, right? No particular bias, just that I'm based in Singapore. So I would tend to talk about Singapore-based companies. I'm currently working with BCG RISE. So this is a training and upskilling program for mid to senior executives who are transitioning into digital marketing. And I know some of you here have been through that program as well. So thanks for joining me today. Previously, I was a Google regional trainer for several years, appointed by Google to train marketing agencies on Google's suite of products. So I am fairly acquainted with Google's ad platform, Google Analytics, and it's really very interesting time right now, all right? Because I wouldn't say Google is playing catch up, but there are so many players, right, in the AI ecosphere, and new players can pop up overnight, right? Just think about DeepSeek, which literally popped up overnight, right, and started taking market share away from the other big AI players. So we're seeing how Google is responding and also innovating and pushing ahead. A lot of innovations are happening in Google's primary revenue product, right, the ad platform. But Google Search at the end of the day is the core product that they have to keep an eye on, right? And we'll talk about that in a short while. So that's, I think, one of the interesting conversations here, how Google, right, is evolving alongside and also innovating to keep ahead of the AI engines. And previously, I've been working client-side and agency-side as well in the area of digital marketing, SEO, and analytics. When I'm free, I enjoy a game of tennis. So if any of you also enjoy tennis, do feel free to connect. So how is AI reshaping SEO and content strategy today? And this is something that I think we are all experiencing in some way. AI-driven search is reshaping how content is ranked and discovered. So whether we're aware of it or not, right, we're experiencing it in the sense that the search results we are getting today are very much driven by and personalized for AI, right? And we'll look into some specific examples in a short while. So you're going to see how Google's algorithms, right, are helping drive this shift towards a more semantic and topical authority-driven SEO, and how Google is incorporating AI in different areas. One area is search generative experience, or SGE, where it includes AI generated content directly in the search results. So this has an impact on traditional SEO. The traditional techniques alone probably won't cut it. Now AI not only drives the algorithms that power the results that we see, but AI also empowers, right, and drives productivity and efficiency in the companies and marketers and agencies who are creating content to connect with their customers online across all channels. So I thought it's still useful to have a so-called traditional definition of SEO, because today, right, most companies still think of rankings, right, as the process of SEO, or search engine optimization. So SEO, this is one definition I like to use. It's a set of ongoing processes designed to improve the appearance and ranking of web pages in organic search results. It targets relevant keywords to increase organic traffic and convert visitors into customers. So I want to highlight some aspects, ongoing processes, right? So SEO is not like a one-time and done kind of process, which is the reason why we have SEO agencies, right? And which is the reason why SEO agencies typically try to go for longer contract periods, 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year, because it takes time. It takes time for them to do the analysis, formulate a strategy, and then make the changes, right, to your website and your other digital assets so that you can rank higher. Another thing I want to highlight is that it is typically seen as ranking in Google or the other engines like Bing, DuckDuckGo, but SEO is really about being found online, right? So it's being there wherever your customer might be searching. So if I can use an example from the hotel industry, yes, all right, if I'm searching for, say, staycation in Singapore, I might go to Google first, right, to get an idea of where I might go for a staycation in Singapore. But it's very likely that I will also go directly to what we call the OTAs, or online travel agents, like Booking.com, TripAdvisor, right, and make a search directly in those properties. So is that SEO? I'll argue that that's also SEO, right? Anywhere that you do a search with the aim of getting back targeted results. So in the area of e-commerce, we do optimization as well in the marketplaces, right, like Shopee, Lazada, to ensure your listings can appear higher. And if you dig deeper, you can probably find different kinds of search engines, not just Google, right? Third-party engines, where your users are going to as part of their research process before they make a purchase decision. Technically, SEO typically involves creating high-quality content, monitoring your site's technical health, such as your load speed and your mobile friendliness of your site, building partnerships and links with other sites, and overall providing a good user experience. And we'll see that we're not throwing away all these so-called traditional techniques. We are just augmenting them, right, where necessary, because of the prevalence of new SEO-driven engines and techniques out there today. Google is still by far the market leader in worldwide searches. It's consistently maintained around 90+%, right, of a search engine market share. And in fact, this was just released, I think, a couple of days ago, Google revealed that they now see more than 5 trillion searches per year. Mind-boggling, 5 trillion, right? And that translates into 9.5 million searches a minute. Whew, that's a lot. Right. So more searches than the population of Singapore in just 1 minute. Okay, but this is global. This is global. So for purpose of this this webinar, right, because Google is still the market leader, we'll kind of focus on and benchmark the other engines against Google. So in the so-called traditional SEO, we are talking about keyword-driven searches. So I type in a keyword, and this is the typical result I see. I may get ads on top called sponsored results. That next will follow the so-called SEO results, organic results, which we track right with the rankings. So rank 1 to 10 is typically page 1, which is what most businesses are ultimately interested in. They would ultimately gun for a number 1 place, next a 1 to 3 place, right? And then next 1 to 10 of page 1. Why? Because the data shows, right, the click-throughs occur only if you are ranked high on the page. The click-throughs occur only if you are ranked high, right? So that's the whole basis of the SEO industry, to help clients rank in those top places. We also have a lot of additional data. You can call them features, right? And that can include, like in this case, people also ask, which is a bit like a FAQ. And it can also include other kinds of structured data. You can even have videos, images, Wikipedia results, Google local map listings appearing in the results. So it's very hard to actually put all the different kinds of structured data down in one slide, because Google is constantly experimenting and creating new forms of it. But in general, this is the format, right, of a page, with the normal organic results, additional features or structured data, and then the pay ads at the top and occasionally at the bottom. And the general way that the search engines work is through crawling, indexing, and ranking. And these are still 3 important concepts at this point in time, right? So crawling is, for example, if you publish a new website, you must ensure that Google is able to find your website. So the simplest thing is that you must submit your sitemap, right? A map of all your site pages to Google Search Console. And that will tell Google that you exist, your new site exists, and you would like Google to visit. So after it crawls means it will visit, right? And it will literally visit every single page on your site. And then it will capture the information on those pages and put it into its own database. So that will be indexing, right? Where it will store and categorize the data, and they organize it so that it can be easily retrieved later on in response to the user search queries. And the last stage is the user-facing process. When someone does a search in Google, a search query is typed into the Google engine. So Google will then analyze its index data, consider its ranking factors, right, and produce the most appropriate results in response to the user's query. So one key trend that we've observed in recent years, right, has been the rise in what we call zero-click searches. And basically this means what it says, right? Zero-click. So someone searches in Google, but they then don't go on to click on any of the results. Right? So your site may appear, right? Your site may be ranked number 1, number 2, number 3, but the user still does not find it useful enough and doesn't click on it. The user also might not click because they're distracted, especially now with additional information like SGE, right? So Google can surface quality information directly in the search results. So if the Google's intent is satisfied, they won't even have any incentive to actually click through to your website. Right? And that is a concern for business owners, right? Because if we don't get the click, right, then we won't be able to engage those searchers with our business and then convert them down the line. And we've also seen a shift from keyword-driven exploration towards questioning. right? And this is also partly, right, a shift towards the use of more of the AI search engines. So now, instead of just searching and exploring, so typing in a keyword and then clicking, right, and then seeing where it takes us, and then evaluating the content, and then rinse and repeat. Instead of doing that, we assume that we are talking to like an expert, right, and we ask the question straight away, what answer we want to receive. So we have more examples of this in a short while. And how does AI enhance SEO? It can help identify emerging trends, right, and automate the creation process. This from a company's perspective. From a search engine perspective, it can predict what users are likely to search for, right? And again, with these insights, right, companies can craft content that better answers these questions, and it can allow for more personalized experiences, right, based on the customer's search and search behavior. So this is actually nothing that is new. If you think of Amazon, right, they've been personalizing the shopping experience for many, many, many years. So the items you see in Amazon, right, are updated in response to your interests and your purchase behavior. Netflix, another example. The movies that are recommended, right, are based on the movies that we have enjoyed watching in the past. So we said that SEO is evolving. So what are some of the other kinds of optimizations, right, which are gaining traction today? There's actually a lot of jargon out there. In fact, when I was doing this research myself, I was getting overwhelmed, to be honest, with the amount of jargon out there, right? I mean, it was bad enough with SEO sometimes and explaining to business owners what SEO is, but now we have to contend with things like AEO, GEO, LEO, VEO. So it's getting quite crazy, right? But I put these few down because I think they are the ones which are showing immediate impact, right? And are used, I wouldn't say on a daily basis, but by many of the users today. So we have SEO, which is the traditional search, right? I think everyone's comfortable and familiar with this. And then we have AEO, answer engine optimization, right? And this is optimizing, right? So your content has a higher chance of being selected when someone is searching for information, right? If within the AI engines. So current optimization areas ensure your content is structured, question and answer style, FAQ style, right? And that will give a higher likelihood, right, that your content will be taken up by the AI engines. Then we have GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, optimizing content so the AI can learn from it and generate new information effectively. So this is kind of pandering to Google at the moment, right? So example will be Google's SGE, Search Generative Experiences. Have any one of you seen SGE results in Google before? Has anyone seen? I'm just checking, do I have chat enabled? Sorry, I'm asking questions, but
yes, you have
might not have chat.
chat enabled.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So guys, yeah, maybe if you can just type something into chat, right, to let me know you're here and that it's working. Yeah, I think it'll be a bit more engaging this way. So SGE, right? Google SGE. Thanks, Jonathan.
What is this?
SGE is where when we search for something in Google, Google will dynamically generate an AI generated answer to our question. And this answer will be unique and separate from the existing SERP ranking listings. So it's a bit hard to picture, right? So sometimes it's better to show, but the problem is that it doesn't always show, right? Doesn't always show when I'm doing a search or when we are doing a search. So typically when you ask a question, okay, Yeah, right. Then it will generate an answer. So this is actually another variation of AI called the AI overview, right? AI overview. Slightly different, whereas SGE, right? Normally it generates live on the spot. So you see the answer being generated live, similar to what you get in ChatGPT or Claude, right? You put in a prompt. So in a way, Google treats your question as a prompt, right? And then it generates answer live. Yeah, so there's a subtle difference between AI overviews, which are kind of more pre-built, and the SGE and the SGE. Okay, but yeah, these are examples of how AI is incorporating the AI directly in your answers today. And it has an impact, right? Because you think about it, if I ask this question and I get the answer straight away here, I will be less inclined, right, to scroll down, and even less inclined to actually click into a website to actually see if they have the information I'm looking for. So from a business perspective, this is not great, right? This is not great. So advertisers have pointed this out, or businesses have pointed this out to Google. And this happens in the AI search engines as well. So now you see that many of these results will come with citations, but currently this one doesn't have, right? Citations as in Google will tell us where it sources information from. Is this a citation? Let me see. Oh yeah, a kind of citation, yeah. So when I click on the link here, then Google does put down the sources cited. So this is, in a way, the compromise, right? Google provides answers straight away. If I don't click in this answer, right, then this will be considered a zero-click search, really. I got my answer, I'm walking away, right? I didn't even visit any business. But ideally, from a business perspective, I click on one of the citations, right? And then I click through to the website, right? Then at least, yeah, they have a chance, right, to still try and engage and convert me to their product. So this is the GEO. How can we optimize? Yeah, correct. This is a GEO. How can we optimize, right? So that our content is more likely to be taken up by Google in the AI results. Then we have LEO, local engine optimization. There's a slightly different set of algorithms, right? That determines how you rank in Google Maps in the Google local business listings. Yeah, so businesses, especially local businesses, would also want to pay attention to the local business ranking factors. So for example, for Google Maps, some factors would include making sure your business information, what we call the NAP, name, address, and phone number, are set up and consistent across all your properties, making sure you select the right business category for your business, and then making sure you have a steady stream of high quality reviews flowing into your business, right? And these are all specific to LEO. They are not relevant for the normal SEO, organic results listings. So another important area. And another last one, which is emerging. And I'm just curious, like, for example, within this group today, how many of you actually use your voice to search? If you do, can you please type in chat how you do so? I'm honestly interested, because I don't, right? I don't, but the data points to more and more people using voice search. So it could be Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant. Anyone? Does anyone do voice search? Elvira?
Yeah, I use Google Nest. So if I say, "Hey Google," it would respond.
And you actually search for things, or you
I ask
just
that question
give?
a lot. I interact with it.
Right. And why would you use it versus like going to Google or AI?
Because it's convenient. Like I don't have to type anything. I just talk to it.
Right.
It's a device
Right.
app.
Oh, interesting. And I'm not so familiar with Nest. Is it like always on?
Yeah, it's always on. It's always there. So I can just say,
Always on.
yeah, and then it will respond.
So how does it know you're talking to it?
When
What's
we
the
say, "Hey
keyword?
Google," "Hey
Hey
Google,"
Google. Okay, got it.
keyword.
Got it.
Then-
Thank you. I see a question on GEO optimization. I think I have some content on it a little later, right? Yeah, let me just verify. So yeah, I'll try and address that question later. So I think this is a nice overview slide, setting the context, right, for the different kinds of so-called SEO that can take place today. And I also think it's interesting because many of the SEO agencies are still focusing on SEO, search engine optimization. But I hope you'll see, right, towards the end of today's session that, oh, there's actually a huge impact from AI on the results that people are seeing, right, and on the processes involved in SEO. So yeah, they should be expanding the scope of analysis and work as well across these other AI areas. So we're kind of a bit at a crossroads at this point in time. That's my own personal opinion. So how do we adapt to some of these new forms of optimization, right? So for the chat bots, right, like Perplexity, ChatGPT, and so on. By the way, this is where I like to run another poll. Could I check with you all how many of you, or what is your favorite AI? If you all could type into the chat, can you please give me your top 3 AI ranked? Thanks, Manfred. Only one. Okay. So my next question to you would be, how many of you, beyond using AI for generating content, right, which is probably the most used case, we know that AI can be used for a huge variety of tasks beyond generating content. You can use it for data analysis. You can use it for role playing. You can use it for quizzing and testing. You can use it for e-learning. Right, so beyond generating content for marketing purposes, then one of those additional use cases is searching, right? So where AI becomes like a Google search engine. So could I check also how many of you actually use AI to search? That means where you would go to Google before, now you're pumping your question into AI, right? And what AI are you using for that? Thank you. Very, very useful answers. I mean, the usual suspects are there, I would say. Right, but I can see many of you are already quite heavy users of AI. Right. Interestingly, no one has put DeepSeek, right, or the latest AI from Alibaba, right? I can't even remember the name, which is supposedly more powerful in some ways than Claude and DeepSeek. Yeah. So, that's the one. Gwen. Yeah. Thank you. So in my experience, maybe one in 30 people, at least based on my current training sessions, 1 in 30 people will say, "Oh, I use DeepSeek as my main AI engine." Right. So it's interesting to know why as well. We have trouble, you all, right, to also let me know why do you choose this AI? What are the strengths of this AI? And while doing that, I'll cover this. So these are some techniques, right, to maximize your chance of appearing when someone, say in Claude or in ChatGPT, is asking a question, right, and ChatGPT returns answers based on a combination of its knowledge base as well as information sourced live from the web, right? So the latest versions of ChatGPT, right, will very often visit the web when it detects that your question relates, right, to the best, right, getting the best, the resources, and this is how we can optimize. Have a question and answer format on our website. Utilize schema markup, right? So schema is structured data, which basically means that it is basically your content, but put within structured format, right? So it's like coding it in a structured format. Technically, the coding on a website, right, the HTML coding is really a structured format, right, for presenting your website in a certain design. So this schema just follows on that. Not only are you structuring the design of the website, but you're also structuring the content of the website in a schema. So example of a schema would be a review with a hotel. You get many reviews, right? And what do you capture about the review? You capture the person's name, you capture the star rating, you capture the actual review content, right? So each of those will then be encoded, right, as a variable in this structured data. So we have structured data formats for different industries. So if you are a cooking website, some of you may like cooking and baking, we have structured data for recipes. If you are a restaurant, we have structured data for reviews, right, as well as structured data for your company details. Yeah, so important to ensure your structured data is up. Sorry, I got a question. Xin Ning, you can't see the slides, is it?
You need to shift the pop-up, close it.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
This is see the slide.
I'm a real noob at using Google Meet. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Because that doesn't happen in Zoom, right? In Zoom, you can shift the box around. My apologies. Thanks for highlighting that. Okay, and next, strengthen your EEAT. We'll talk about this in more depth later, right? So EEAT stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness. And this is, in a way, you're establishing your authority, right? Authority to provide content or a point of view on whatever the person is asking in AI. So if I'm searching for, I'm going to go to search engines now. All right, so I'm going to go to AI. So we'll make this practical and relevant. So I'm searching for, let's say I'm looking for a new credit card. So best credit card. Has anyone noticed these auto completions coming in ChatGPT? I didn't quite notice it before. So best credit card in Singapore. So we know, right, that just maybe several months back, ChatGPT would most likely return just a static answer, right? Because it's giving you data based on its pre-trained knowledge base, and it wouldn't have the latest, right, information on which credit card providers are providing the best deals in Singapore. But today, right, it combines the concept of this knowledge base with augmented information, a bit like RAG, right? Retrieval augmented information. So it will actively incorporate other sources of information. And in this case, it's the web, right? It goes to the web and searches for information related to best credit card in Singapore. Then it comes back to me and gives me these results, right? And not only that, but it gives the citation, right? The link to the website which provided this actual result as well. So what I'm saying is that those sites which appear, right, would have to perform strongly in EEAT as well, which is actually a Google framework for validating, right, how authoritative the website is in its industry. Is it a spammy website, or is this like industry authority on the topic? Last, optimize for conversational search. So in the past, right, we would search in terms of keywords, whereas in the past, we would search in terms of keywords. Now, because of AI, we're often searching in terms of questions. So if you optimize more for these questions, around these longer questions, right, higher chance, right, that you can also be picked up by the AI engines. So for GEO, it's just like AEO, right? It's fairly new and fairly technical, right? So these are some of the aspects of GEO. So GEO prioritizes content suitability for Google to do AI synthesis, and in that regard, right, this content optimization techniques will be favorable. Contextual anchoring using schema, markup, and knowledge graph alignment. Right. So schema is structured data, what I mentioned earlier. Knowledge graph, we'll talk about it a little later, but you can think of knowledge graph as, for example, Wikipedia, right? So in general, we consider Wikipedia content to be authoritative, right? So we have to ensure our content is at the depth and the width, right, of a Wikipedia content, so that we can be considered to be the entity, the knowledge entity for that topic. Simple, clear structures that enable the Google to easily read and parse your content using multi-modes of content. So not just text, but combining where appropriate relevant images, videos, and interactive elements as well. And using a consistent terminology so that AI can recognize, right, your key core area of focus. Some more advanced techniques. So when you extend the concept of knowledge graph, right, towards making you a authority in your industry, then there's this term called topical authority today. So try and build up your website, right, to become a topical authority through comprehensive coverage of whatever niche your business is in. We'll talk about this a little more later. Incorporate AI to help you. In this case, the idea here is content refreshes. So I'm not sure about you, but for me, I always like to see the latest updated version of the content, right? I'm always looking for a last updated date. And it is a pain. I mean, if your website's got only 50 pages, not so painful, right? 50 pages, 2020 to 25, update that content for 2025. What if your website's got 5,000 pages of content? How are you going to update, right, the content for 2025? A huge, huge task. So that's why AI and automation can really come in play, right? So there are already some platforms out there that will scan your existing content and then use AI, right, to research the latest developments in your industry and trends, and then rewrite your content, right, to incorporate those trends, right, and then republish for you. So then you get fresh, updated content, right, in front of the user's eyes. There has to be a balance to this. Later on, we'll see, right? If we go overboard with the AI part also, quite possible and quite likely even that your site will incur a penalty today. And we'll talk about that in a short while. And citations, right? Citations and linking to other authoritative sources. So in the traditional SEO, this would be called backlinking, right? And internal linking. So these are still important. Yeah. So I hope this gives an idea on GEO. And you see there is still a huge overlap, right, with traditional SEO. Sometimes we are just crouching it in slightly different terminology. Sometimes we are also looking at the possibilities with AI, right? For example, with this dynamic content updating that we have here. Here's another perspective, right, on AI versus SEO, a bit more granular, showing you some specific nuances, right, between the AI engines and between Google themselves. Yeah, so, for example, the knowledge base, right? The knowledge base, when you ask a query in the AI, Claude and Llama would be answering based on training data. Perplexity, Google AIO will be answering based on Google search results, search data. And ChatGPT would be doing a hybrid approach. This is current as of, I think, a few months ago, right? And this may change, right? Hybrid approach. So it's based on, ChatGPT gives you answers based on both its training as well as live search data. Whereas for Google, it's based on its index, right? It's crawling and indexing and ranking of the content. So I think this is interesting comparison between the different platforms. Interestingly, Perplexity, right, is given a higher rating for ability to influence. I think it's worth testing, right? And I'd love to hear your opinion on this. Manfred, I know you mentioned Perplexity, right, a few times. Do you find the Perplexity quality of results, right, better than ChatGPT, and why? This kind of open question to you. Maybe you can type in chat if you have an answer. Yeah. So if any of you have comments, right, your own perspective based on what this slide is saying, please do type in chat, because we really need to test, right, these assumptions also. Yep. So we've covered that already. Right, and yeah, in a way that slide also covered this as well, but this one also includes some additional AI engines and where they get their data sources from, right? And where they get the data sources from. So we know ChatGPT, right, from day one has been dogged by claims of plagiarism, right? Because it has to train its data sets somewhere, right? It has to train its data set somewhere, and it basically sucked in a huge corpus of text, right, from the internet, from publishers, from libraries, and from websites, right, and use it to train its data, right? So the New York Times actually sued ChatGPT, right, claiming that their copyrights were infringed. Actually, not sure what's the status of that lawsuit, but yeah, that's the implication, right? When they train on that copyright data, there's still some gray area there, right, on whether the content that is rewritten or regurgitated, right, impinges on copyright. So what we're seeing is some of the newer AIs have taken, right, to generating their own data set as the training data. And that to me is interesting and also quite terrifying, right? So it's literally the AI is writing the knowledge base and then it's training itself on its own knowledge base. I'm not sure what you all make of that, but to me it's quite terrifying. So I think that's why it's important that humans still stay in the loop, right? We still need to have our expertise, our human voice, our empathy, right? Reflected in the content that is created. So what are some of these algorithms that have driven the shift from keyword-driven search, right, towards semantic search? So largely driven by Google's patents, right, and AI algorithm implementations over the years. So the way Google works, right, to us, right, Google is Google. As in, when we go to Google, it's always the same interface. In fact, Google is famous for being the most boring UX, right? The most boring but practical UX in the world. Just a single box where you put in your keyword and you get your answer. But behind the scenes, Google has constantly made improvements to how it ranks the results. And before, in the past, right, it's very much driven by keywords, right? Keywords. So at the simplest level, if I'm searching for the keyword credit card, the content in the past, right, had to contain the keyword credit card. So you find that there's this tactic called keyword stuffing in the early days of SEO. I'm talking really, really early days here, where businesses would literally just put the word credit card, 20 to 30 times within the content, and that will help them rank, right? So Google's algorithms over the years have evolved to become more sophisticated. So one of the key things they did was take away the reliance just on your published content. So it's not just what you say about yourself. I'm the best credit card in Singapore. But just as important or even more important is what other people say about you, right? And that is the concept of PageRank, where if you get authoritative people talking about you, then Google will also think you're an authority. Kind of works in real life, right? If you associate with a certain group of people, right, you will tend to be associated with them as well in terms of your status and your outlook. So websites which associated with high quality websites, and this was expressed through the backlink, right, would also be given a boost in the rankings. But then, as with every good thing, came manipulation by SEOs. So websites started to purchase and build an excessive amount of links just for the sake of gaming, right, their rankings in the Google search engines. So they'll get thousands or hundreds of thousands of links pointing back to their website, and that would help them rank number one. So Google's algorithms have evolved to take care of both situations. Right? There's an algorithm which cut down drastically on spammy links. That was Penguin down here. There was an algorithm which cut down on keyword stuffing, right, and spammy websites. That was Panda. And then over the years, they've released new algorithms which shift them towards a focus on just keywords relevance, towards natural language processing and machine learning. So in this shift, right, they are no longer just looking for the keywords in the content. They're looking for the relationship between words, concepts, and user behavior to try and deliver more accurate results to you. So some examples of the key algorithms would be Hummingbird, enabling the search engine to process whole queries instead of isolated keywords, and then RankBrain and BERT. I think I have BERT here, right? So BERT and RankBrain. So RankBrain is the start of Google's machine learning system, where it implements its patterns, right, to help it better understand the semantic intent of the query. And BERT is aimed at parsing and understanding the query better using natural language processing. So there's typically a pattern or two supporting each of these algorithm implementations. So if you all are interested to dive deeper, right, the best place would actually to go to the patents, right? And there's a Google Patents website where you can actually pull up all these search-related patents. But from a practical level, what does it mean? Semantic SEO is a shift for Google to now focus around recognizing entities, people, places, brands, and concepts, and how they relate to each other, and matching search intent, user intent, rather than just matching keywords. And structured data plays a key part, right, in helping Google understand this content and these relationships. And taking it one level further, having structured data is important. It is how you can communicate your content to Google and help Google understand the relationships between your content and the structure of your content. But it is more important, right, over time to establish yourself as the authority in Google's eyes. And that's where this concept of topical authority comes in. So the traditional approach of SEO would be to optimize pages, right, content based on keywords and build backlinks. So the basic focus of agencies, right, would be to optimize more pages of content. Every page of content would typically be optimized for a group of related keywords, and then they'll focus on building links, right, partnerships, and other citations based on the content they publish on the World Wide Web. But now Google, right, instead of just evaluating based on those criteria, they evaluate a site's overall topical depth and how well it covers an entire subject area. So websites that comprehensively cover the topic will rank higher than those with scattered surface level content. So I can't emphasize this enough. Currently, right, this is the secret sauce, right? The secret sauce to those sites which are ranking well, and not just ranking well, but able to retain their rankings. So factors influencing topical authority include the proper structuring of your topics on your website, right? So you can think of it like as being like a tree structure, right? With the most important topic at the top, and then branching down into the related topics. So it has to flow in a logical manner, your content, ensuring that your content exhibits quality and expertise, and then having it validated by users actually engaging right well with the content. So that is another factor. So in a way, then it's not just what you say about yourself, right? But it's how users respond in the way they interact with your content, the amount of time they spend on your content. So that will be a ranking factor as well. And we still have the backlinks and citations as an important component of this. So case study, right? Now time for a few case studies. HubSpot, right? I think is known to many marketers and maybe many other business professionals as well. They've always been very, very aggressive and doing very well with their content marketing, right? But in this case, it's a case study of SEO gone wrong, right? Somewhere in November last year, their traffic started to tank, right? And from a high of 14 million, right, it's come down to about 4 to 5 million. 4 to 5 million. Yeah, this is latest data, right, as of 2025. And what happened, right? What happened to HubSpot? Because they've always been considered to be an authority site, blogging on a variety of business-related topics. So Google never reviews, right, exactly why your website might have been penalized. There are indicators in your search console, for example, which is the platform for Google to provide feedback on your site's performance and rankings. So in this case, there was a major Google algorithm launched in December of that year, which slightly affected HubSpot, right? And in the algorithm, Google focused on the quality of the content, the depth, right, over the breadth. Yeah. So, and this is exactly what we are talking about in the topical authority, right? You must really go deep, both wide and deep, but you must go deep in terms of the content coverage of your topic to show that you are really the knowledge source, right, and the authority in the area. So in the case of HubSpot, what they did really well was they went really wide, but they are doing everything and anything under the sun related. So their main platform is actually a CRM, right? CRM, but their content is talking about everything else related to marketing and not necessarily just to their core focus areas. So they've been penalized, right, in this release in a very heavy way. Another recent example, training provider called Authority Hacker closed their training business, which was a 7-figure business. So they were highly regarded in the industry for affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is where you publish a website, generate traffic through SEO, right, and drive the traffic to the merchant's website, where when the sale is made, right, the merchant will give you a commission, right, or a cut of the sale, right, so that you become an affiliate, right, or a commission. You get a commission from the merchant. So they found, right, because of the frequent algorithm changes, and I'll say it's not as frequent, right, but it's the changes which impact them very heavily, because many of these affiliate sites did not have the depth and the width, right, in the content to for Google to continue ranking them. And then the rise of AI-powered search reduced the effectiveness of their techniques. Yeah, so they actually closed. They say, it's not, in a way, it's very ethical of them, right? They say it's no point us teaching these so-called traditional SEO techniques anymore because it's not working for this particular business model. So another example, because I think this is much more AI related and very interesting, right? So in October, this one's a bit older, right? Because this one came out shortly after the explosion in AI generated content tools. So this business tried to jumpstart their content marketing by creating 7,000 pages in total of AI generated content, right? And the basic recipe was that they would take the sitemap from a competitor. That means they will look at the competitor at what kind of titles, right, of content they are publishing. So take those titles, right? So let's say my competitor has got 100 articles published. Take those 100 titles, not the articles themselves, but the titles, pump it into AI, right? So they use an AI called Byword. Today we might do this in ChatGPT, and then just churn out the content and publish it straight. So initially, it did tremendously for them, right? 1.1 million monthly sessions at its peak. This was when he announced this, in October and November. But just 1 month later, Google must have either applied a manual penalty, right, or released an algorithm, and the traffic went from million to a few thousand, nearly overnight, right? So I think this really illustrates, right, the danger of over reliance on AI generated content. And we may have seen, right, that Google has said that they allow AI generated content as long as it provides value to the user. Okay, but I think we have to interpret that very carefully in the light, right, of what's been happening out there in the industry. So there's a huge danger today, I feel, in publishing AI generated content as is without any further editing, right, and proofreading and fact checking, and then alignment of the content to your brand's tone and voice. So the process better should be use AI, right, to help you ideate, maybe come up with the initial draft of content, but then you still have to use the human to complete it and ensure a very high quality of output that is unique, that is of high quality, right, and in your brand's tone and voice. So I'm going to pause for a second here because I've really spoken quite a lot, and just get what is your feedback? What's your perspective on AI generated content, everyone? Do any of you use it very aggressively? Have you seen good results with it? So what's your perspective and approach? Thanks, Niha. Niha, can you elaborate when you say generic? What do you mean? So you're talking about the kind of AI generated content that you see today? Thank you, Niha. Yes, and in many cases, or even most cases, I agree. Have you started to spot like patterns in AI generated content that after a while, right, you can actually spot if this content is likely to be AI generated? You can, right? Yeah. So imagine if we can spot it with our human eyes, surely a machine, right, with the algorithms can also detect this content. And I think that's what's happening. Google does know when the content is likely to be AI generated, right? And if it doesn't meet Google's quality thresholds, right, Google's coming down very hard on some of these websites. And you can see it's not like small players. These are some very heavy hitters. HubSpot, right, is a very, very heavy hitter, big player in the content marketing worldwide. Manfred, yes. Yes. So have you found any ways around that? Because they always talk about, in fact, that is the keyword for your favorite engine, Perplexity, right? So if you reduce the perplexity, they will try and talk in more simple languages. And then there's also a temperature, right, to make AI less or more creative. Yeah. So there are some levers we can pull. But yeah, I do agree. If you don't give it guidance, right, AI tends to talk in long sentences, big words. So the new generation of AI platforms, right, take into account these guidelines, like I mentioned earlier, writing in simple sentences, and they, on top of that, right, they also incorporate alignment to your brand voice and brand tone. So you train the AI with some examples, right, of your current writing, your current company's writing, and the AI will then use that to color, right, the new content that it creates. So we can actually do that as well manually, right, in ChatGPT. When we ask ChatGPT to write a new article, always feed it some examples of our current articles so that it understands our style, right, our preferred style. So that's how we can do it manually. But there are platforms out there today, that create articles with for you with this built in. Gladys, thanks for your feedback. Yeah, big words. After a while, it becomes quite repetitive, right, and monotonous. So thanks for your feedback, everyone. Yep. So this is an example of this site here, the one that generated 1 million to zero, right? Hero to zero. So example of the content that they pasted onto the blog of their website. By the way, the website, right, was not their own website. It was the client's website. So I think that's the worst thing. So they took the client from super high to a super low, from 1 million plus to a few thousand visits a month. And they were listed as the website with the biggest traffic loss in that month, and I think possibly in the whole year of 2024. Yeah, so you can see super vague, right? The content, no images or videos, right? Which we know is important, right? It's important to be multimodal in your content today. No internal linking, right? So no internal linking or external linking to authoritative sources, right? And if you look at the heading structure, it's also not optimal, the heading structure, right? So they don't really have the hierarchy, right, of subheadings that will help them shape the authority on this topic here. Yeah, so this example, right, and they generated thousands of articles and published it, and it really impacted their client. Their client tried to recover by deleting the content and redirecting them to the homepage, but it seems that as of today, Google still has not recovered their traffic. Yeah, so it can take a long time, right, to recover from a penalty. And another study showed that the content produced by many of the top AI writers today, ChatGPT, Claude, Phrase, Jasper, Copy.ai, and so on, can all be detected by the existing AI content detectors on the market. Yeah, so this particular case study showcased that. So if it can be detected, right, by these tools, then I'm pretty sure Google also knows when this is AI, right? And it'll be quite easy for Google to apply a penalty if it feels it needs to do so. Though currently, right, Google says it allows AI generated content. So the takeaway is still at the end of the day, right, is to focus on your user and user experience. So that means quality content. And quality content, at least based on the current outputs of AI, means that we cannot rely on AI 100% to produce the content. It has to be checked, right? And then not only quality content, but publish it alongside in the right way. So in the right way means publish it on your site. Your site must also contain structured data markup to further help Google understand what your content's about. And your site should be technically sound, right? Should load fast, should be mobile friendly, have the correct HTML structure. And that will generate business impact, which is engagement and conversions, which is another signal that Google can take into account. Right? Google knows if it sends traffic to your site and the traffic returns straight away from your site, right, in less than 10 seconds, say, they click out of your site back to Google. Google knows, right? And it will interpret that as a negative engagement. And that is actually part of its ranking signals today. So aim for engagement as well as an outcome of publishing your quality content. So now, how can AI tools help? Guys, I hope you don't mind. I'm just going on through and not kind of giving a break, right? Of course, if you need to take a break, please feel free to do so. I appreciate your time on the call. And I will be making a recording. I hope the recording is fine, right? But if everything goes well, I will be sharing the recording with any of you who wants the recording as well. Okay, so I'll just be going through all the way because of the in the interest of time, and so I can end sharp. So now the question, right? So how can we then actually incorporate AI into our workflow for SEO and SEO related tasks? So this gives you a framework. Maybe you can think of this as a starting point for you to start to think, right, about how AI can impact you in your current SEO efforts. And the nice thing about this framework is that it doesn't just apply to AI. You can think if you're in a different job function, right? Say you're in HR, you can kind of adapt this framework as well. Because why is that so? Because basically this framework talks about how we work with AI. So the first step is human. That means just me and you, no AI. And then human with AI support, and then AI guided execution, and then 50-50 human AI collaboration. So you can see it's basically, right, the layers of AI autonomy, right? How autonomous you let AI be in completing the task. So the final task, just like a self-driving car, right, is a fully autonomous AI. So in a way, this is like your agency, right? And you outsource your whole AI to this agency to complete for you. So whereas today is probably it's a human agency. In the fully autonomous AI, right, you outsource the whole project to an AI to analyze, strategize, then create the content, publish the content, monitor the results, and optimize, right? So all that will be done fully by an AI. Is that possible today? So I think the case studies show that not yet, right? Not yet. We are just looking at the area of content quality, and it really breaks down. But does that mean AI is not relevant? No, AI is a very powerful force enabler, right? So this diagram kind of can help you think through where do you want AI to be your assistant, right? Assistant. So assistant will be you are driving the work still, but AI is just giving you additional inputs, right? So for example, here will be at the start of the content production process when you're ideating ideas. You can use AI research tools to help you understand, right, your user pain points, understand the keywords that users might be searching for, understand what your competitors are doing well, reverse engineer your competitor strategies. So it's very tedious if you do this manually. I can go to the competitor website and analyze, right, the content manually, but it's very tedious. You can use AI to scan the competitor's website, analyze the kind of SEO that they have, right, extract all the key information, and then feed it in the proposal to you. Right? So you can use it in that way. You are still driving the process. The outcome of that, right, is two things. One is the keywords that you will be targeting in your content. Number two, you would likely get what we call a content brief. That means the structure of the article that you need to publish. Because remember, we are going for very in-depth, right, authoritative content. So you need a detailed brief, either for yourself or for your writer. So the writer knows exactly, right, what to create and how it should be structured. So that's likely to be human-driven, but with the aided by AI today. And then where can AI help you? Where can AI function more autonomously? In my opinion, the measurement and optimization area, right? So, for example, you can get AI to pull your monthly website performance reports, analyze the data, analyze the keywords, the pages which are ranking, right? And then propose optimizations to you based on that, right? So if you are ranking very well, then in a way, nothing needs to be done, right? Just maintain. If certain pages are not ranking well, you're ranking off page one for those keywords, the AI can propose to you, hey, next month, right, let's focus on these keywords because they are ranking just off page one. So with a bit of tweaks to your content, very likely that Google will rank you onto page one, right? And AI can be used, right, to run in the background to do this kind of legwork. So that's one example, right? That's one use case in terms of the measurement optimization piece. AI can be used to generate the content quite autonomously also, just by pumping in a keyword. But I think we've already explored with you, right, that this would be very dangerous at this point in time today. In the past, I was actually a bit more open to this, especially when Google said it is very open to quality AI content, right? But now everyone's doing this, everyone's churning out thousands of articles, right? And I think the quality threshold for Google has been raised. So if we are still doing what the bulk of people are doing, right, which is just mass producing content, I think we will meet the quality thresholds. So at this point in time, it's still a human-driven, by AI assisted process. That's my point of view. But happy to hear your point of view as well. Okay, I'm just checking if there's any actual questions. Yeah, thank you, Manfred, for tackling some of the questions as well. So that's it, right? What are some popular tools in industry today for the various AI functions? So I've listed some here. I'll start with the analytics and competitor research. So we have in the top corner, Google Analytics for Adobe Analytics, right? And not only are these what we call digital measurement platforms, so they measure the volume of traffic coming to your website, but they are also qualitative platforms to a certain degree, right? They will tell you how engaged the traffic is to your website in terms of, say, amount of time they spend and number of pages they view, what kind of content they're viewing, right? And on top of that, they also have machine learning and AI built in. So for example, for GA4, they have algorithms that run that detect when you have anomalies happening on the website, right? So if your website traffic has always been 10,000 visits a month, and suddenly the visits go down to 5,000, the AI, right, will flag that, and then it will tell you to go in to take a look and investigate, right? So that's one common use case. Another use case, the AI can quickly analyze your table of campaign data, right, and tell you what's working, what's not working, and propose optimizations for you. You also have SEMrush and Ahrefs. These are two industry-leading tools for keyword competitor research. They actually do a lot more than just SEO, right? But they are paid tools, so typically used by the agencies. Content optimization, Surfer SEO is a very popular platform. Surfer SEO, ClearScope, these tools tend to take a similar approach, and I would define the approach as competitive benchmarking to create a content. So what do I mean by that? That means literally, right, if you are trying to rank for, let's say, best credit card in Singapore, let's give you an example. So a tool like Surfer SEO will literally read in the top 10 ranking sites today, right? So who is currently ranking really well, right? Read in the content, right? So read in the title, the description, and the on-page content, right? And establish benchmarks for you to target in your own writing in the tool, right? So for example, if it finds that for the top 10 websites, right, the title, right, tends to be between 50 to 60 characters, then that will be the benchmark for you. So when you write your article, the title has to be between 50 to 60 characters as well. If they find in those content, right, they use the keyword best credit card 5 times in the top competitors, then that would be your benchmark range as well, right? So maybe between 5 to 10 times. So that's what I mean by competitive benchmarking. So you are kind of reverse engineering and then trying to engineer your article to be at least as good as, and then later on better than your competitors. So that is the approach taken by these tools, and it has worked quite well because in a way you are replicating what is really working, right, for these brands here. But I will argue that without an overall plan in place, right, an overall plan in place on how you establish your topical authority. So what is your topics that you want to be authority on? What are the topics which are and subtopics which are important? How deep must you go, right, in terms of your content coverage? So without that idea, right, and the strategy, then this might be seen as too thin, the content, because you're optimizing on a per page basis, right? So, but you need an overall content strategy. So in topical authority semantic SEO today, a lot of SEOs like to use the term topical map, right? So it's a map, basically a map of how you establish your authority for that particular niche. So in this case, Money Smart Singapore, right, will have a topical map on the topic of credit card Singapore. So all kinds of credit cards, right, in Singapore. There's best credit card, there is travel credit card, there is cashback credit card, and so on. So it has to cover all these related topics and cover them well to the depth where Google considers it authority. So I want to give you all a tool that can help you understand how authoritative a current page is. By the way, just to preface this is not my tool. right? But the person who released it has released it for free. So I'm pointing you to his tool. So I'm not endorsing his tool or his content per se, right? But I'm just saying that I used it and I found it quite useful. So yeah, so feel free to check it out yourself. So this tool, right, basically takes in a landing page, the content, right, for your page, and it evaluates it against Google's EEAT principles, right? So Google has actually published what we call a quality rater guidelines. It's basically a set of guidelines that it uses to evaluate how well your site is doing against expertise, experience, authority, and trustworthiness. Yeah. So if you have no idea, what do I need to put into my content, right? What kind of content, what kind of additional information must I put in my site in order to rank high? Then this tool can give you a glimpse into it, right? So I'll just quickly show you, right? So you when you go to this tool, full instructions will be provided on this site on how to install the tool. There's two versions. One is for the free version of Claude, and one is for the paid version of Claude. So of course, the paid version of Claude version will be better, but that assumes you have a subscription to Claude. So if you don't have, then it's okay. You can still use the free version of this tool. I give you an example of the tool in action. Right. So if you click on the second link, let me paste this into typo, I think. Okay, I'm just going to go. I think it might be a slight typo. I'm just going to go into the conversation, try and find it. Oh, I think it's actually missing. Oops, it's actually missing. Let's see. Motivator. Yeah. Sorry. In the interest of time, I won't rerun it, right? But I will provide you the link after this webinar, right? So I mentioned you get a copy of the slides, those who are interested, a recording, right? And I also provide the links to this tool. Okay, so basically the output, right, will look like a report where it tells you what your page is doing well and what your page isn't doing well in terms of the content in relation to EEAT. Okay, so I found it pretty useful, and yeah, I hope you do as well. And there's also a link to the same site because I actually like the work he does, the testing that he does to some of the top AI SEO tools at this point in time. So keep bearing in mind what I mentioned to you all, right? You want to know where the tool fits into our workflow and what the tool is actually trying to achieve. Some of the tools can actually help you in become more efficient in your workflow. Next. Yes, last few slides, right? So, so takeaway, recommendations, and next steps. So at the end of the day, right, the key step is let's humanize our content again and our websites again, right? And that means looking first again to our users, right? Our users. So understanding our user personas, common questions they ask about us, understanding what our website is really all about, right? What's the key product or service that we are selling? What is the key monetization that we are having on the website? Because that all has to be coherently fed into our content strategy and content production. We've seen examples, right, where sites which are diluted across multiple areas are being penalized in Google in a very heavy way. Right? Sites that produce 100% AI generated content are being penalized in a very heavy way. So we have to go about this in a more deliberate way. Really consider the user, our core mission, right? What's the reason for our website to be published, our core services, and then translate that right into content that addresses Google's EEAT criteria. Right, so then from there, continue to monitor the engagement metrics. Very, very important today to see how well our content is engaging with our target audience. And we can use a tool like Google Analytics to do that. On this slide, I provide a link to another free resource, which gives you very interesting ideas to optimize your site for better conversions and user experience. right? So what we call A/B or conversion rate optimization. So there's a lot of little things you can do to really make a big difference on the site. Right. So this link will be in the slides I pass to you. So end of the day, right? We have to keep abreast of our users' preferences. If our user prefers to research us in social media, we have to be there. We have to be in TikTok, in Reddit, wherever they are searching in YouTube. If our users are moving towards AI as a starting point, then we have to take into account, right, the AEO optimization principles, which we covered today. So you can see that's how dynamic the landscape is today. And even though the percentage of referrals from the AI engines is still very small, I've just done some random checking of Google Analytics, right, for some sites that I have access to. Very small. The site may be getting 10,000 organic visits, right? The number of visits from Perplexity and ChatGPT is still in the single or double digits for many of these sites. But I think at the rate, right, the AI engines are increasing in their usability and quality, more and more people will start their search in AI, right? So that's why it's important to keep an eye on developments in the area. And that brings me to the end of the session, right? So I'm just going to open up for any questions. Feel free to unmute yourself, everyone.